What's up, y'all? I wanted to post an update on the FJ62 project. I know it's been a while. I promised to put one out with the video I just submitted yesterday, which is really just a culmination of all the pictures that I've been taking. And I have been posting those pictures on the mud site, but realized I haven't been doing anything on YouTube. So, if you saw that video, you saw that there's actually been quite a bit of progress that's been going on in the project, but I got sidetracked doing some other things, took a trip, yada yada yada. But I have been doing quite a bit on the FJ. So the video that just ended, that was all the pictures, kind of takes you up through where I had torn the engine down, and I was starting the process of cleaning everything, and I had just put the lifters back in the engine, and I was starting to button the engine back up. So that's where I'm going to pick up here. I'm going to flip over here in a second. You can see the frame, where it is, the engine, where I'm at with that, kind of what else I need to do, and then where I'm going to go from there. So let's flip over. So here we are. This is what she looks like today. A lot better, right? A whole lot more purty. You can see I've spent a good bit of time not just disassembling it, but I take a lot of time to clean everything really well, paint it, put some sort of rust prevention on it before I reassemble it. Everything that goes back on, if it had a gasket, has a brand new gasket. The oil heat exchanger here, new copper gaskets for the banjo bolts, and new O-rings on the inside. The oil filter mount has a new gasket where it mounts to the engine block. Obviously the push rod cover here, new gasket there. The rocker cover, new gasket on there. I cleaned that, put a coat of fresh paint on that. That's a thing I don't like putting things back on that don't look good. There's no point, I think, and putting it back, taking it all apart, wiping off the dirt and putting it back on if it's still got, surface rust and paint flaking off. Just knock it down, clean it real good with some, good brake cleaner, and Rust-Oleum's not a bad, I use satin black on everything. After it cures for a couple weeks, it's pretty damn durable. I've used it in a lot of restorations before, and the key to using it is prepping. It has to be completely oil-free, dirt-free, and dry. And once you do that, if you don't, the key is, the very first couple coats are really, really light coats. Let it sit there for 2 or 3 minutes, hit it with another light coat again, and then you can start putting on heavier coats. So probably everything's got 3 or 4 coats of paint on it, and then it cures for a week before I bolt it back onto the engine. When the head was off, I pulled the valves out, cleaned those, new valve guide seals. Everything rubber or cork or a gasket, it's all new. New exhaust manifold, intake manifold gasket here, obviously. And the oil pan, if you can see it over there, that'll be going on the next few days. And of course, new gasket there. I've got to get up under there. There's still some stuff stuck to the bottom of the block in the corners. That old cork is friggin' hard to get off. The distributor was in quite a state. It worked, but it was just dirty, filthy, and one of the previous owner had broken one of the bolts, so I had to drill it out and tap that again. So I'll need a new distributor cap, which is not a problem. I'll get a new rotor while I'm at it. Took that heater pipe there, trimmed off the very ends of these where there was probably a 1/4 inch of ragged, rusty metal, and just trimmed it off real nice. Cleaned it up, and this pipe is fine. It saved me $100. And so now what I'm doing is here's the steering gearbox cleaned up, bolted back on. I've got a whole new set of let's see if you can see them, but a whole new set of ball joints, 3.5. These guys are good, not cheap. I mean, it's not crazy. $130, I think, for all three of them. What is it, 3 or 4 of them? Good stuff. Should last a long time. Yeah, so I'm starting to, I'm cleaning up these lines, putting them back on, inspecting them, removing every one of those fittings, and I'll get new fittings like there for the fuel pump, high pressure fuel pump line. I'll get a new line for that. I need a new fuel pump anyway, and who knows, maybe the sending unit's bad. I'll have to figure that out when I drop the tank. Here's an example of what I spend a lot of time doing. These are all the fasteners that came off of it. Some of them are beyond saving, but even like this guy, can I focus it? That looks rough, but in actuality, when you clean it up, it ends up, you know, come on baby, it ends up looking like that. That's because of this guy. That right there is worth its weight in gold. I use that in conjunction with a very simple, my shop is a complete mess here, so forgive me. I set up a very simple electrolysis bath here. I use an old 1 amp power supply and some washing soda, and I just leave them hanging in that metal basket for a couple weeks, pull them out, and then let them dry, pull them apart, and then you run them through the wire wheel and they come out looking like new. AC compressor bracket cleaned up, painted, ready to go. I have some idler pulleys that are no good, so I got to get some of those. I'm also desmogging this while I'm in here. You can see little brass fittings that you stick down in the where the smog fittings were stuck, so that'll all come out. And yeah, that's where we're at today. I know I've got a minimum of 2 weeks of work left to do, buttoning this all back up, and then I got to pull the transmission off the back, replace the rear main while I'm down this far. But things like this, all these lines, I got to clean up all those lines, clean up all this muck down here, make it all, you know, I need to get it clean so that if something is leaking, I can immediately see where it's leaking. But it's difficult in this shop because I don't have any water from the county, so everything is done the old-fashioned way with a brush and diesel. Wash it all off and then spray it down with degreaser, and it all kind of ends up looking like that. It's not bad, it's just what would take 2 hours takes 3 days. But I don't have $3,000 to get water out here at the shop. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at, you know. The project's moving along. It's nice that it's so you know, I can take as long as I want. There's no rush here. And when I get done, you know, hopefully the amount of time that I spent on here is going to be evident in everywhere you look. I do this for everything. Every fastener that goes back on is cleaned. Threads are cleaned. Everything is good to go. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I'll try and keep these updates coming a bit better. I don't have any big trips coming soon, so yeah, if you got any questions, let me know.